So the album we're here to talk about today that changed your life is Racine Carrée by Stromae. How old are you when this album comes into your life?
I think I just turned 21. I don't know this guy. I've never met this guy in my life. I don't even speak the same language that he does. But he made something on the other side of the planet that I can genuinely connect with.
So how did the album change your life? And we've all had music that's been the soundtrack to our childhood, to the highs and lows that we've had in life. And what we want to explore here today is the albums that have changed our life.
And like when you listen to Papaoutai the first time, you're like, whoa, this feels good. And you translate the lyrics, you're like, yo, I've been dancing to this?
Our special guest today is Tarek Abdelkhalig. It's so cool that you picked this album because I've had the most interesting experience with this one.
Oh, is this your introductory one to Stromae?
So here's the thing that I do is in the morning on my way to the gym, I will go through Tidal's new albums and I'll just listen to every one of them.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if it's in a genre, I would like, I want to experience new stuff, right?
Yeah, you're a sponge.
And so years ago, this one came up, and I was blown away.
Yeah.
And I've listened to this album 1,000 times, and it's in French. I don't understand anything he's saying.
Yeah.
I don't know why I never went back.
Getting a little goosebumps, man.
To look at this one.
Yeah, man. Like,
so you know, anticipating your arrival, I've been listening to this one.
Yeah.
Same magic.
Dude, it's wild. Cause like the first time I ever heard Stromae, it's just like, I didn't know what this music meant, but I just felt something, man. And like, I was looking, and finally I found him, like, and I had the same exact experience that you just described. That's why I got goosebumps earlier, because like, that's what it is. That's when, if you're not a French speaker and you discover any of his works, you're like, what is this? And you're constantly listening to it over and over and over again. I think we have an advantage as non-French speakers because like we don't understand it, so we never get tired of it, you know?
But you don't feel like you're missing anything.
Nah. I think he just, like, music is such a universal language, and his ability to communicate the emotion behind every track, like, you don't have to know French to understand it. Like, you just don't. You can feel everything that he's saying, from his tonality to like the way that the production is made. I've been waiting for this. I need this tea.
That's what you ordered, was tea?
Yeah, some green tea and some honey. Oh, man.
Thank you, Michael. Cheers.
Cheers, my guy. Ooh.
I will say, though, with some foreign language music, and I wouldn't even say some, really what I mean is with most, I feel like the story in the lyrics is so vital to whatever they're doing that it doesn't make me want to hear it again. With his music, that is not, there's another dimension there going on where I don't feel like I'm missing anything because I don't understand what the words are.
That's how you know somebody's really good at what they do.
Yeah.
I feel the same way when it comes to this album and even his first one, because it just felt like he understood what I was going through without really knowing anything about me. And I felt the same way. And I think that's what it means to be an artist. Like, you're able to like really relate to people, really not just people, just like this human experience as a whole. And that's what he is. He's just like he's a recorder, he's a documentaire of this human experience, and he's really, really, really good at it. So it's natural to have like that specific reaction to it, because I had, like I just said earlier, I had the same exact reaction the first time. Like I didn't feel like I missed anything. I felt like, and this is even before I translated the lyrics. And then when I translated the lyrics, I'm like, oh, that's why I felt this way, or like that's why I started to think about this and that. So yeah, like that's definitely everything that I would probably get out of it if as like a first time listener from this specific album.
So tell me a little bit about your background. So where did you grow up?
I was born in Sudan, in Africa. Not a lot of people know where that is, but yeah, I was born in Sudan, and I lived there for 5 years. Then I ended up going to Egypt for 2 years and waiting for the UN Resettlement Refugee Program to place us in a country. And eventually we got placed in the United States.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, my memory started at a very young age. I don't know why. But
Do you remember being born?
Maybe. No, just play.
I do. I remember the lights coming on.
You remember the lights coming on?
I remember the lights coming on and chaos.
Really?
And then I don't remember much after that for a little while, but I do remember the lights coming on for sure. Like it was chaos.
That's dope, man. I've never heard anybody that said that.
No, I've met a couple people that are like, yeah, I remember the lights coming on.
I can't pinpoint my oldest memory. I just can pinpoint like a time period, and like I get bits and pieces, like a smell would remind me of something, you know?
But that 2 years in Egypt, did you feel any sort of like fear, or what was the overall kind of
I mean, like
feeling?
When you're young and things are going on around you, you don't really know what's going on. You know that you're moving. Like my dad actually went to Egypt before us because he was the first person to leave Sudan. Like he and both my parents were, they stood up for civil rights in Sudan. They protested against the regime at the time, and he had to leave early. And so when he went to Egypt, he was there by himself first, and then we joined afterwards. So, I didn't really know what was going on. I was like, okay, we're moving. We waited for my younger brother to be born, and we went there. But, I definitely felt different. That was the first time I felt like like not everybody around me is the same as me. I went to school there. I was one of the only Sudanese people in this school. You definitely feel different. You can't really pinpoint it, why? But then like when we got to the United States, that's when I really felt like, oh, whoa, this is...
Where did you land here? What
Minneapolis.
City? Minneapolis?
Yeah, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was...
You've never experienced cold like that.
Man, I will never forget the first time we landed and like those doors opened when we came to the parking lot. It was in the middle of February. And if you don't know Minnesota, that's one of the coldest months. So
Hurt your feelings cold.
Yeah, like I will never forget this. You come out, because my body like kind of went into shock. I was just like, whoa, this is cold. This is cold. Then the second set of doors open and we're in the parking lot. And we're like, is it like this all the time? It's like, feels like you got scammed, Like, you're like, this is not what we were promised. And then we're running through the parking lot, we're running. I slip and fall. And I'm like, what the hell did I just fall on? Because it's ice and you don't really see ice. And it's the first time I like experienced ice on the ground. And I'm just like, why is there ice on the ground? Like I lived in a desert, And like, so your mind is trying to comprehend that. And also it's cold and you're getting into a car. And like our aunt got us in this car and she got us like all these thrifted like winter gloves and all this stuff. And we're just putting these things on. First time I put on a glove, like it was such a surreal experience. And I'm just like, where the hell, it felt like a montage in a movie, like you're like running away from something. That was like the first experience, like my first vivid memory of Minnesota. And like we stopped in New York prior, but it wasn't that cold, Just like, oh, this is cold, but like, cause like in Egypt, it got a little cold, got down, I don't know, maybe like 45 degrees Fahrenheit at some point, but like it didn't get Minnesota cold. That was wild.
What's your first memory of music?
Oh, so, I mean, music has always been around me. My mom played the lute. She still plays the lute. That's like a prominent instrument in Sudan and in a lot of the Middle East as well. So it's always been around me. Actually, my dad wrote songs too. And
was it kind of like a family thing?
It's not like a family thing. It just was there, I come from a family of like lawyers and like scientists and very highly educated people with the ability for music, but the majority of us, I would say 90% of us chose like I don't want to say the smart path, like the more concrete path of like.
But everybody embraced an element of creativity.
Oh yeah, there was creativity through and through. My mom's a lawyer right now, but my dad was mainly a writer in the beginning, and he was also a lawyer in the beginning, but then became a writer and a journalist because it was hard to like win any cases against the corrupt government in Sudan. But like, yeah, there's always been an element of creativity in my entire upbringing. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, when we were kids, like, we didn't have toys. We didn't have like enough money to go get toys. So we literally made our own like little toy cars from like old cans. And and my parents hated us for this. We would cut out we would make the wheels out of flip-flops that our parents bought for us. So they would have like all these holes in our flip-flops. And that's how we would make our little toy cars. So every single facet of my life in the beginning and just up until now has always been creative. And as far as like the first memory of music, like I would say one of my birthday parties. So here's the thing about Sudanese people. We will find any reason to party. When I was I think I was like 2 or something, they threw me a party. And it's not really a party for me. I just happened to be the cause of the party, you know? But like
the excuse,
you know? And like people come out, everybody comes out from like different towns and you hear, and it's like, it's live music around me. Like people are setting up, people are going up there, they're singing, the instruments are being brought out, and like it goes on and you could hear it. But that's like my first memory of music, is just live music in my own and this doesn't happen like at an event. This happens in my house. So like the way that like Sudanese homes are set up is like they have this giant yard basically, right? And because it's so hot during the summer, every night we actually brought out our beds and we would sleep in this yard like under the stars. So for the first like 4 or 5 years of my life, I always slept outside. Like it was a house, but like we brought out our beds because it was so hot. And that same area is so big that it can serve as like, you know, I guess an event space. So yeah, that's like my first memory of music, is just being live music in my own backyard for whether it's my birthday or my brother's birthday or whoever's birthday, or if it was a wedding. As far as English music, I would say it was like 1999 or something, New Year's Eve. I was in Egypt, and it was like Mark Morrison, Return of the Mac was on. Yeah, it was on this Egyptian programming for some odd reason. And I was like, what is this? I've never heard anything like this. You know, like it just felt like surreal. And I was like, I gotta figure out what this song was. And I couldn't find the song until I was in the US and I was already an adult. I was like, I think it was 2011, spring of 2011. Some dude at college just played this. That wasn't some dude, it was my homie Sean from college. Yeah, I remember now. He went back there and he put it on the speakers and I was like, what is this song? What is this song? I've been looking for, and you gotta understand, this song has been dodging me for a while. I would hear it on the radio. I would try to like listen for the words, but like the sound quality wasn't the best and like the internet wasn't like, so I'm looking for this song during the 00s, like the 2000s for a minute now. And then finally somebody in college, 11 years later, plays it on the speakers. And I'm like, what is this song? And I finally got it. It's one of my favorite songs of all time.
That's kind of your first memory of English music, I guess you'd say, or American music. Mm-hmm. What happens after that? As you're going through like junior high and high school, what are your musical tastes?
I guess when I first got to the US, I was always fascinated with hip hop. It's always been hip hop. It's always been.
You related to it?
Yeah, and like I related it to it on like a subconscious level, because I was still learning English. Like when I came to the US, I didn't know English. You know, I knew I liked this thing. I don't know why, but I knew I liked it. And as I started to learn English more and I started to like really listen, I was like, oh, I really like this stuff, you know? My first CD I ever had was Nelly's first album. And I found it in the dirt. And it was just covered up in dirt. And I was like, is this Nelly's album? And I knew who Nelly was, man. Like I knew they say his name all over the radio. And like, I was like, there's no way this is Nelly's album. Cause like, you know, it was like, I found something in America on the street. Like what the hell, who would throw this away? So I found it and I polished it off. I like cleaned it and my dad had the CD player and I put it in there and I was like, it is Nelly's album. It was true. Like, I couldn't believe my eyes. So I listened to a lot of hip hop in elementary school and then also in junior high and high school. But my music taste didn't just center around that. Like I listened to a lot of different music. My parents had Arabic music in the house, a lot of Sudanese music in the house. And I also listened to like a lot of foreign stuff. Cause I don't know, I had like a wide palette for things. Ironically, my parents liked a lot of bluegrass music and a lot of blues, like just blues in general. We went to a music festival in Duluth, actually. That was a all blues festival. That was like the first family vacation we took together in America. Like we went up to Duluth, a bunch of like Black Sudanese people going up to this blues festival in northern Minnesota. My mom and my brother actually made the paper because my mom was throwing my brother up in the air and catching him. So this crazy picture like was in the newspaper for that.
Oh, wow.
I don't know where that picture is these days. I had like a lot of different experiences. My dad loved Ray Charles. Like we had a lot of those CDs in the car, and every other day my mom would get her little instrument out and we'd listen to some old Sudanese music, and she would like play it, and I'd be like, why do you care so much about this stuff right now? And like, you never understand the value of your culture until you get older, and like you're like, oh, this is home. You know, this is where you feel seen. It's where you belong.
What did you go to college for?
I went to the University of Minnesota and I studied marketing and psychology at the Carlson School of Management. So I studied business. I studied business. I went into, my whole idea behind studying business is like, you know, we grew up very, very, very like poor, like coming into America. We came in as immigrants. We started with nothing, literally nothing. And I just wanted a stable job to, you know, help provide for my family. At this time, like I'm going through college and, you know, my parents' careers still haven't taken off. You know, they had to come to the US and, you know, these are very highly educated people with law degrees, you know, and they thought they could like pick up where they left off, but no, they had to redo everything. They had to go to community college. They would work as caretakers, and they would bike to Century College in Minnesota, and they would go to school at night, come back, take care of us in the morning, and then redo all their degrees. My mom finished law school, like, and right around the same time, I actually like I was in college when she finished law school, which is crazy to think about, that, you know, you're simultaneously going through the same thing. So I went in like, you know, with my intentions of like getting out, getting a job, and, you know, helping provide for my family. But then like when I did all the internships, like I did an internship in London, I did an internship at Target, I did an internship, a lot of internships, man. And like I worked in corporate advertising for a bit. It just wasn't for me, man. Like I just felt like I kept seeing like the department head walk by my desk every day when I was at corporate advertising. And I just looked at him and I'm like, if I stay here, that's gonna be me in 10 years. And I just didn't want that. A very stable future, you know, in a very great company. Like, I just didn't want it. My heart wasn't in it. It didn't feel creative enough for me. I just don't like the idea of just being at a desk and going to the same place every day. It felt so constricting. So that was a very long-winded answer to tell you I studied business.
No, it's fascinating. So you get the degree, you're out there doing it, and so then what do? How do you unwind all that?
It was hard, man. Like, I couldn't, it didn't feel authentic. So I just jumped. I quit my job.
Did you have money saved?
No, this was a dumb idea. I didn't have.
How old were you?
I was 21.
Oh, 21?
21, 22. 22, I think. Wait, let's go 22. Let's go 22. I was 22. And, you know, I had a little bit of savings. Like I had like probably like $1,000 or something. But I was just like, this is just not it. I came to LA for a reason. Like I came to pursue this film and pursue this music stuff. And I felt like the job was just like not allowing me to do any of that. And I was like, I just got to jump. And I jumped, started doing all these random side jobs. I was Ubering for a bit. Like, man, did I really find myself through that experience? Like you really find out what you're made of when you really just take a huge risk. Do I regret it? No, not one bit. It put all the skills that I developed over the years to the test, if that makes sense. I just jumped and I started taking classes at UCB, I started taking improv classes. I started like auditioning. I actually had time to audition now. Met some people, got a couple of commercial agents, met some more people, kept meeting people, kept jumping on projects, figured out I was a writer somehow. Yeah, man, LA is such a weird city to jump into without any like actual feasible plan, but having the confidence to be like, oh, I'm gonna figure this out somehow, you know?
Yeah, it takes a lot of confidence.
I just jumped, not really knowing that I was gonna be okay somehow.
If somebody younger was asking you advice and they were saying, I got $1,000 in the bank and I want to jump, would you tell them to jump?
I would ask them about their support system, and I would ask them about the type of person they are first. It depends case by case. If I knew everything about myself, like if let's say I'm 32 now, and I saw my 21-year-old version of myself, and I knew everything about him, you know, at the time, I would tell him to jump for sure. But depending on like other people,
I always feel like if somebody's asking, they're not ready to jump.
Yeah.
Because I didn't ask.
That's the thing. I just did it too.
Yeah, like I'm not asking. There was no option.
Yeah.
It's the same thing like for working for other people. Like I just knew that I didn't want to work for anybody else.
Yeah, it felt like you're building somebody else's dream. And it's not like you're collaborating to help them.
Right.
You know, like I'm all for collaboration. I'm all for helping other people achieve what they want. That's a big part of who I am. And for like the corporate world, it did not feel at all like I was part of something bigger, you know? It felt like I was
a rat in a lab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like amazed, man. Like I was just like, yo, this doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good. And everybody's playing the game around you and you're like, I don't want to play this game. Like
I'll have people ask me frequently like, hey, you know, what should I do? I want to do this or have this side hustle. And I'm always kind of under the mindset of if you have to ask me, you're not ready. It's going to be hard when you jump. So if you need permission from me to jump, you're not ready because it's not going to be easy.
Yeah. I also don't like having that much responsibility over somebody's like life path. Like I like to be a support system.
I just think the fact that you would ask is a flaw in your thinking.
Yeah, I think when people are trying to ask, they're trying to ask for permission, like you said, right? Which you don't need permission to do anything in this world. Like you really just gotta ask yourself first and foremost.
Why do you think people need permission?
It's because that's how we're programmed.
Yeah.
Like we're
from kids.
We're programmed to get up at a certain time, go to school, learn all these things that we really don't really want to learn. It felt like we were told to do everything from the minute that we were born. And we didn't really have much agency. And you expect us to have agency about what we want to do after we graduated high school. Like, here you go, here's all the tools, now go figure out what you want to do. And I think that's why a lot of people struggle with it, because we were not really given agency, like at all. And I had to find it through a set of life experiences that, you know, made me question a lot of things.
Well, showed you what you didn't want.
Exactly, showed me what I didn't want. And like, it never sat right with me. Like, I want to be making decisions because I want to be making it. Not because somebody else is telling me to do something. Not because my parents expect me to do this thing. And like, my parents are very supportive. Like, the one caveat they have for me was just get educated. That was the one thing. They never pushed me to do one thing or the other. They never pushed religion on me. They never pushed a certain major or minor or career path. When I told them I want to do this art stuff, they're like, all right, bet. You know, I'm very fortunate. These are African parents, by the way. Like, yeah, they trust me. They know that I know what I'm doing because I proved to them that I can do this education thing. But circling back to what we're talking about, like, yeah, I just don't feel.
Well, I think when it comes to permission, I feel like it's also attached to your identity in the sense of if you follow the rules, then you are a good person. Mm-hmm. And so there's this underlying idea that to not just follow along, you're being a bad person. You're stepping away from the tribe in a way, and that makes you you know, an outlaw.
It makes you.
But being a good person is in line with following the rules or waiting for permission, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of us want to be liked. A lot of us want to be a good person. Has a lot to do with, how we were raised, the experiences we had in school. A lot of us just want to fit in. To follow the rules means that like gives this weird false sense of security. So that's why a lot of us ask for permission to do things, because if it's okay with other people, that means it's okay for us. But that's very backwards if you think about it. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, you got to ask yourself deeply, like, dude, what do I want? And honestly, like, going back to my decision to jump, I really asked myself, I'm like, is this corporate path the path that I really want to do? Or how could I feel whole? How can I feel authentically me? And I didn't know what that was when I jumped. I just knew that this wasn't it.
It's hard when you're young.
Yeah. And there's
so much pressure.
A lot of pressure. You got to get a job. You got to do this. You got to provide for yourself. Then you got to get kids, or you got to get married. You got to get kids. Like, there's like this weird path.
You got to have a future.
Yeah. And like, that doesn't mean you're not going to have a future if you don't have any of these things. I think there's not just one way to do this life.
That's not how it's sold, though. So, how old are you when this album comes into your life?
This album came into my life when I think my senior year of college. I think I just turned 21.
21?
Yeah. It was like,
so what's going on at that point in your life? Like, are you writing songs? What kind of music are you listening to also?
I'm still freestyle rapping during this time.
Were you going to rap battles?
I mean, nah, we rap battled back in like middle school, but nobody really rap battled around me anymore. We were just doing it because we were drunk college kids having fun, and at some point somebody was like, yo, you should think about doing something about this. And I'm just like, really? Nah, this is just a fun little thing that we do. My dreams of a rapper are not. Like, let's leave it here. But then,
who are you listening to at that point?
At that point, I'm listening to, man, this is hard to think about. A$AP Rocky. It's crazy, man. Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, Kendrick is like popping. Like, was it 2012 when this thing came out? It's 2013, I think. But at that time, I'm listening to a lot of Kendrick Lamar, and like, he's popping off. I'm going through his. I'm introducing everybody that I know into Kendrick Lamar. Chance the Rapper was popping at that time too. Kanye's always popping. Like, he's in my shuffle. A lot of EDM was coming into the scene at this time too. So,
were you digging the EDM or were you just observing?
I was a little bit of both. Okay, Cudi was doing his thing too.
I was gonna ask about Cudi.
Yeah.
So, what sort of EDM? Because there's a bunch of different flavors.
Yeah. So I really liked R.L. Grime. R.L. Grime took hip hop and took all this stuff and added these huge energy, like digital drops to it, and it was outrageous. It was outrageous. That Love Sosa flip with the Chief Keef flip is just crazy, man. So I'm listening to high energy. They call it trap music. I think they still call it trap music. It was weird. There was like trap music from Atlanta, and then like trap EDM music, which is, I guess, had the same meaning, but it's the English language. But I'm listening to a lot of different stuff, which I think why it made this. I mean, I would listen to this either way, but it made this album a lot more digestible because it combines all of that. It combines hip hop. It combines like dance, house, and all this energy stuff into.
Yeah, there's a DJ vibe.
There's a DJ vibe.
So who introduces you to it?
The first song I ever heard by him was Alors en Danse. That's the famous one that blew him up. And I listened to it. I was actually at this club and it was playing on like, no, I don't think it was playing the first time I went to this club. I think it was just on, right? And like, I was trying to find it for a few months and still. You can see a pattern of me trying to find music here. Like,
Shazam has to be your favorite.
Shazam was not a thing back then.
Now though, it's got to be your favorite.
That was perfect. I Shazam so many things. Like, I will stop what I'm doing to Shazam a song. Like, this is the most inconvenient thing. It's like the most convenient thing, but it's also the most inconvenient thing in my life because I will stop whatever I'm doing. So yeah, I'm looking for this song. Still can't find it because again, it's in French. I don't really know what he's saying. I just know that the melody is dope. I don't want to hear this.
Yeah, there's no, you can't come up with a title from what he's saying, right?
I'm typing into like Google random words that I think it sounds like. Nothing's coming up. Nothing's coming up. And then I go back to that same club like 3 months later with my homie Duran, and I look at the screen. They have a projector now. They're playing the music video of that song. And I'm like, this is it. Okay. Music videos, they always come and they always have the little, this is by who, you know? So I'm sitting there. My friend Duran is talking to these two girls. I'm ignoring the whole conversation. I'm just like focused on this. I'm like, I'm not missing this. You know, I've been looking for this. So then finally at the end, it says his name. And it's like kind of blurry because like the projector's over somebody's head or something. And I can make out the word Stromae. And I'm just like, okay, that's all I need. I found it right away when I went back home. That night, I went on my laptop, and I found it. And I found his first album. I was like, wow, this dude has an album, and da-da-da-da-da. And then I had that album on repeat forever. And then later, this came out. I was like, what is this? The follow-up to his original? I was like, whoa, this is a masterpiece. Yeah, I was just blown away. I had that on my iPod. What was the iPod? You know the little nano iPod with the video I had that on there, and like, man, it was wild. It was wild.
What is your favorite song?
Let me think. It's hard, man. I have favorites. That's the thing. Every single time I listen to this album, I find a new favorite. Originally, it was like the first song. It was Tafet. I was like, what a way to start an album. Like, what a way to like just, you know, come in and just had so much energy. You know, just like this is anthemic. This felt like an anthem for something way bigger. Do you have a favorite one off of this?
I've only been listening to this for the last like 3 days. I don't think I have a favorite, but let's just listen. What does Tafet mean?
I think it's Your Party, the whole track. Like, I listened to this album for the first 3 years. I was not gonna translate these things. I was like, I don't wanna translate this album and it's gonna ruin it for me or something. I was just like, I'm here for the vibes. And then like, I listened to, one day I was like, okay, maybe I should actually like learn what the hell this means. And the first opening song is about like the consequences of like going out and like being out all the time. And you know, sooner or later, you're gonna face the consequences of like your actions. And he does a really good way of telling this in the music videos. These music videos are so wild. This is what I love about him as an artist. It doesn't just end at the music. It's a whole thing through and through. And like, that's how I like to approach my art. But it's like the music video, if you haven't seen it yet, it's like he acts like this, like almost like I don't know if I'm using the right word, like a general almost, walking around. And it's like there's this one character who's running around this maze, and every now and then he faces somebody in this maze, whether it's like a bride or like some other thing that represents like a challenge in life. It's just talking about like, you know, you going through life and like all these responsibilities that come with it. And like, if you're out all the time, you're gonna face the consequences of it. That's what I got out of it. And then Papaoutai, man, that is so deep. And like when you listen to Papaoutai the first time, you're like, whoa, I'm dancing again. This feels good. And then you translate the lyrics, you're like, yo, this is about trauma. This is about like fatherhood and like not having a father who's present, and like you're like, I've been dancing to this. I've been going on runs to this. Like, and then you watch the music video, and the music video is just like, oh wow. And like what he did in this specific music video for Papaoutai with the mannequin is so symbolic, because like it means like we'll find any way in this life to fill that void of fatherhood. And I think he said on an interview one time is that like anybody can become a father, but nobody really knows how to be a good father. There isn't like a book out there on like how to be a good father. Like it's just life. It was actually this song that actually had me reconcile with a lot of the grievances I had with my parents growing up. Because you know, it's true, like our parents, they bring us into this world. They have their own mistakes. They make their mistakes on you. It perpetuates the cycle. And then, you know, you grow up blaming them. But like, you know, my homie Ian always said this, man. He said, parents are just kids who had kids. You know, and like when you think about it that way, you're like, yeah, you got to have a little bit more empathy for like their position. But
so is Papaoutai a father?
Papaoutai is, yeah, he's talking about, I think, Ute, like, I think the lyrics go, Father, where are you, Father? I need you, Father, where are you, Father? I can't exactly remember because again, it's like
no
in French.
Joke. That's what it is.
Yeah, Papaoutai. It's about.
I would have never guessed that in a million years.
Yeah, it's about like fatherhood, man, and like his dad died in the in the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. So he reconciles with that. Like I haven't lost any parents, but like, you know, I have a lot of friends who've lost parents, and I see what that does, especially when like you lose a parent at a young age. I've seen what it does to people, and I've just seen like not having fatherhood in your life or having like a traumatic, turmoil relationship with your father can do to you. It manifests in such different ways. So yeah, like that one's like I said, it hits home before I even know why. Like you don't have the words or like the knowledge.
Yeah, that's what's so crazy about his music is yeah, but I would have never made that connection, but you know it's smart. Like,
yeah.
You can tell that it's many layers.
Yeah, it's art. It's art. That's what it is. That's what art is supposed to do. Art isn't just something that looks cool. It's a reflection of our human experience. We come into this thing, we don't really know what the hell it's about, and the only way that we can actually cope with this existence of ours is to make things, to describe and communicate with other people, hey, I'm going through this thing, and this is how I feel about it. Do you feel the same way remotely? And people say yes, and you feel seen. And that's what's so beautiful about it. It's like you can, like, I don't know this guy. I've never met this guy in my life. I don't even speak the same language that he does. I mean, he probably speaks English. I think, yeah, he does speak English. But he made something on the other side of the planet that I can genuinely connect with. And like, that's why I think it's so special. Like, it just comes from nothing. And you can just communicate with somebody else about it. That's just profound. That is unreal to me.
It transcends.
Yeah, for real.
So how did it affect your music?
Yeah, so I think,
how did it influence it?
I got attracted to hip hop in the beginning because of how dense the music was, how incredible, how much information you can pack into a single line in hip hop. I thought it was the most difficult, magnificent, like, form of music when I was growing up, just because of how much like knowledge you can go into it. I said all that to say that I wanted my music to mean something. I want my lyrics to mean something. So I've really worked on getting really good at my lyrics. Like I idolize lyricists, like from like MF Doom to Mos Def to like obviously Kendrick Lamar, and like his ability to just paint a picture and like everything that he does. And when I hear this, and I see the juxtaposition and the contrast of like the production being so high energy, and then the lyrics being translated to have such deep meaning and such vulnerable subject matter, that's what I want to accomplish from my art. I want you to feel good, but I also want it to like stir up emotions in you. So I want it to be layered. I want it to be extremely layered. So when I hear his music, it makes me, it says like, it's like game on, you know? Like, yo, okay, bet, that's the bar. Let's keep going. Let's see how far I can like push this song. Let's see how far I can push this film. Like, that's what I get out of it. And also the blending of all the genres.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say is,
yeah,
how could you put him in a category?
You know, growing up, I just wanted to be a rapper. You could say
it's electronic.
Yeah, you could say it's electronic. You could say it's Afro-Caribbean.
But he's rapping, he's singing, like, and the same thing, like the music, like, how do you put it in a category?
I think what ended up happening right around this time, actually, maybe even before it, like, we're having this genreless era. And we have genres, but like the blending of, we humans like to put things in boxes, but I think that's why he was so successful. It's because it was so genre bending.
It was about the music, not about the category.
Yeah, it was about the music, not about the category. It wasn't about him trying to fit into something. It was about taking all the things that he likes and putting that into his original style, which I think why we go back to these songs and we listen to them over and over and over again, because it's like he almost like he did create his own genre. Like it's like got all these influences. You hear all these like samples, and then like all of a sudden you got these African drums in here, or like this jazz and like this house, like this house music that you're listening to, and you're like going off. Like it's you don't have to put it in a genre. Like you kind of just got to listen to it. Like music is just music. You kind of just, if it feels good, it feels good.
Okay, can you explain the Kendrick Lamar Drake
Oh, we're gonna talk about this?
situation?
Explain it in what way?
Just so I can understand it.
Have you been on the Iraq? I was like, no, to me and to a lot of people, I think this wasn't just about them beefing. This was a moment for music. This was a moment for the culture.
What are the two sides that are represented in this moment?
I think commercial success and artistry, like real, genuine artistry.
So Drake is commercial success?
He is the most commercially successful rapper ever. Like the numbers for him, like there's no denying it.
So he's like the Taylor Swift.
I guess I've never heard anybody call it like that. I guess, yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Just in my taste, in my sensibility, I don't even comprehend how it's even a conversation.
So I think people forget that hip hop is a contact sport. Like it's a competition. Hip hop, like at the roots of it, you know, it's the voice of the people. It's the voice of the oppressed. It's the anthem for the revolution. But there's this other side of hip hop that it is a contact sport. Like I'm the best. I'm getting on this mic and I'm saying things and I'm showing you why I'm the best. So from a sports standpoint, yeah, that's what you can say that part of this beef is, you know, like who's the greatest rapper of all time, you know, that's always gonna be up for grabs.
But top 10, is Drake in the top 10?
I mean, he's in some people's top 10.
No, we're just talking, me and you are talking right now.
Top 10.
We're talking about the other thing too that to me, I always think like, because I don't relate to him whatsoever, but to me he seems like an upper middle class kid from Canada.
Yeah.
Like there's no real, I don't feel the same honesty as I feel from Kendrick.
I feel like,
but I also live in LA, and so
I love Drake in the beginning. Like I was really cool. I love like the So Far Gone. I was even up to like Nothing Was the Same. I was like, this guy's really groundbreaking. Like, you know, my homie Juice, actually one time we were listening to Nothing Was the Same, and we were listening to like Hold On Is Going Home. And I'm looking around like, he's got a bunch of dudes singing right now before we're about to go out. We're singing Hold On. We're about to go out, get drunk and hang out and guys. And like my homie Juice is like, he's got a bunch of dudes in this room singing. Like, I was like, yeah, man, he's doing something. And then like, as the years went on, it just felt like there was just like a lack of authenticity for me. And, you know, nothing's wrong with commercial success. You can get up there, but this is hip hop where authenticity is the core of it. And for somebody like Kendrick Lamar, he's always maintained his authenticity. And to me, authenticity is the ultimate form of freedom. Like that is just what this life is about. So I think it is a battle between authenticity and like, you know, this fake stuff that is being like peddled to us and fed to us. So that's part of it. As far as like the top 10, like, you know, it's kind of hard to do a top 10 in rap because like rap is like, or hip hop and rap is not just like basketball. All right. Basketball is like, okay, it's like, you know, it's very obvious who those are. But hip hop, it's like, I think it was like Lil Yachty or somebody or like J. Cole on the interview, they were saying like, it's like a track and field, you know? In track and field, there's all these different types of sports in it. There's like the long jump, there's the 100, the 200, the 400, there's distance, there's shot put, there's the relay. So that's why because hip hop is so huge, you know, maybe you could say like the top 10 in each one of the categories. But as far as like having a whole comprehensive list, it's very hard to do. And everybody is gonna have something different.
The question is though, would Drake make your top 10? You want me to make it easier? Would he make your top 5?
No.
Yeah.
My top 10, probably not either.
But Kendrick would be very high on my list.
Kendrick would be high on my list. I don't think Drake would make my top 10. He's up there for sure. Don't get me wrong. Like he did come in and like, you know.
So what is the beef about?
Oh man, we're gonna get into this. Okay. I think it started right after like Kendrick dropped that Control verse, you know, and he called everybody out on that Control verse. I don't think Drake took it too lightly. And the Control verse, he just called out people, and it was supposed to be like, hey, this is hip hop. I'm just trying to raise the bar. This is competition. Since then, like they started trading subliminals left and right, and it just got to the point where, you know, it's time to air it out. And it's a multitude of things. It's about their personal relationship, or like, I mean, we don't know these people. I don't personally know Drake. I don't personally know Kendrick Lamar. You know, there could be things behind the scenes that we really don't know about.
Well, there's no way that there's a deal behind the scenes, in my opinion, just because of how bad Drake has lost.
Drake's taking L's, like, repeatedly. I've never seen somebody take so many L's. Like,
I don't know how you recover from that.
Here's what I'll say. Like, it depends on what you're coming to the store for, all right? Why are you listening to this music? Okay, do you want authenticity? Do you want real artistry? Go to Kendrick. But if you're here, if you just want to listen to a vibe, I know a lot of people that listen to Drake, they don't know a single word of him. They just listen to it for the music. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying music
let me just introduce an idea.
Okay.
This.
Yeah.
So this is a blend of those two. There's an authenticity, but there's also the poppiness of the sweet molasses, like Duchamp would say, right? In the creative act, he says it's got to be sugar and like molasses to get people to like it. So that this is a melding of the two, I would think. It doesn't just have to be authentic, but it has to be.
We consume music differently though in the U.S.
It has to touch you.
I think people outside the U.S. appreciate art and consume music a lot more. Like they're a lot more ready to get behind somebody that's doing something versus here it's gotta be like.
Why are we leaving the US? We're in the US.
Because music is global. It's not just here. You gotta see how like everybody's consuming music. And it's probably the reason why I consume music like this. I think we in the US need social proof before we can decide to like something. Versus like, for example, people in India, like they get behind their people, bro. like they get like anywhere else. I feel like anywhere outside the US, they really get behind their people. Like if you up and coming, you doing something, like you see people in Brazil, like there's a lot of engagement, a lot more support because like you're doing things back to you're creating, and we really like appreciate creativity. And we fund it. Like in Sweden, there's a reason like there's a bunch of Swedish DJs is because like the Swedish government allows people to work on their craft and like subsidize their living versus here, like there's a starving artist. You have to be a starving artist to make it here. It's different. What was your question again? How does this relate to Drake and all of that?
No, would we just agree that Kendrick won?
What? Do we need to ask that question? Yeah, like come on. Is that what you wanted this entire time? Is to tell you that Kendrick Lamar won? Like, you don't need me to tell you that. Like, you can ask Drake too. Like, you can ask him. Like, he'll tell you who won. Like, Yo, where were you when like the songs were coming out though? Like, cause like I was working and like I went on my break and like he dropped something. I think it was I forgot what it was. But it was the day that he dropped both of them, you know? And like I went on break prior to me going on break. Kendrick dropped that. Then Drake dropped Family Matters. And then Kendrick dropped, like 30 minutes later, he dropped the other one. That one was so crazy. Like those 2 weeks in our life was probably the best 2 weeks of 2024. Like what was going on? Like, so yeah, Kendrick won, man. What you mean? Like,
you know what kind of cemented it for me was at the World Series.
Yeah.
They were playing They're Not Like Us, and the crowd is chanting it at the Yankees as they're coming out onto the field. And it was like, oh, this is like a soundtrack for a city. Like it's the underdog.
It united California, man. Like like my brother lives in Oakland, and he told me when that song came out, like there was just everybody was outside, you know, like running that song over and over and over and over again. Yeah, man.
What else are you listening to now?
What am I listening to right now? Obviously, I got the Kendrick album on repeat. Still trying to get familiar with all the songs. It takes me a minute to like, because it's so dense. You got to like listen to it over and over and over again. I'm listening to, obviously I got this on repeat too. I still listen to this every day.
Where does this fall into your?
Oh yeah, this was great, man. I really thought he was pushing the boundaries with this one. He like went all over the world and collaborated with a lot of unique people for this.
There's a Marcel Duchamp picture like this.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that the same dude that you? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. It talks about a lot of different things. Again, the subject matter is deep. I think he took a lot of classical music and like blended it with this one. I don't know. As far as like, I can't rank his albums. Like I can't rank these albums. They're all special in their own way. What else am I listening to right now? I'm listening to a lot of foreign stuff. I'm listening to a lot of Brazilian rappers, a lot of Afrobeats. I listen to a lot of Afrobeats. Like Victini, man, that dude's got so much sauce, bro. Like me and my girl, we went to see Asake at the YouTube Theater last year, and Victini came out, bro, and he just stole the show, bro. Like the swag, the way that his demeanor is, the stage presence. And I love Asake too, man. Like the energy, and obviously Burna Boy, and yeah, man, I don't know, man. I kind of just go in my mood. I'm listening to a lot of old music, actually. A lot of like some of the soundtracks I grew up with. I got those on repeat too, like 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying, like. That was a core, man. Like when 50 Cent came on the scene back everybody wanted to be 50 Cent, man. That shit was crazy with like the bulletproof vest and all that. I listened to a lot of T.I. back in the day too. I remember like at every track meet I had, I would always start it with that T.I. song, What You Know About That. I was just like, I felt like I was walking on the scene, like very movie picturesque. Yeah, I'm digging in a lot into my old bag. Like, it's hard for me to fall in love with new music. It's really hard for me to fall in love with new music.
Why do you think that is?
I think it has to do with social media, and everybody's chasing like that hit, that TikTokable song. I think one of the songs on here actually talks about social media. It's Carmen. And this is like 2013, and he talks about the effects of social media. I have a hard time with that myself. Like, it just feels so exploitative. And being an artist and being a musician and being a film a screenwriter and a film director, you have to use the tool in order to advance your career. But like the way that these algorithms are set up is like it feeds you like the most polarizing stuff. It's not healthy for us. I look at it like money. Like money can do. It's a great tool. It can do amazing things, if you have it. But it can also do terrible things if you have it. But the effects of social media on music, it just making these like shorter, more digestible songs that are here for like a week. It's removing the timelessness of things, and like it's also changed the way we release music. Like we used to look forward to albums, and we still do. Like some of the stars, like obviously if Beyonce drops an album, we're there. Okay, like it's hard even as an independent musician myself. Is like I want to make this giant work of art. I want to put all this time. But I have to play the game of social media where like I gotta release a song every 2 weeks or every month so that I have more content for you guys. You gotta keep feeding the beast. So you have this opportunity cost of making more things versus really taking the time to create like a work of art, like a masterpiece. And the people who've already established, who have their platforms, have the luxury of doing that. But for like independent artists, like, and again, there's like different strategies you can do to like, you can make the album and then you can roll it out over that. But, I just feel like we're missing this essence of timelessness, timeless music. I don't really know who's doing it like that right now. I don't really know anybody that's really making a timeless song these days. And again, it can be subjective, but like, when is like the last time you heard something that's like, I'm finna like listen to this in like 15 years and it's still gonna hit. Like,
well, I have some examples of that, but it's not in hip hop.
Like what?
Like that Zach Bryan album is nuts. Like that'll be around forever. Have you ever heard that?
I heard Zach Bryan. One of the last like folk band that I like Mumford and Sons. Like Mumford and Sons like those music, man, like those songs. You gonna play that? You can play that right now, and like it will go off. Like, but no, pull up the Zach Bryan, man.
So also like there's something too, because he started the song with a poem. So I'm gonna play you that,
Yeah,
even though
please.
it'll take a little long, but it gives you the vibe that he's like, hey, I'm doing this for me. He has trumpet on it, which is interesting for country music. You know?
Yeah, pull it up. I love getting introduced to new things.
Do you know the Warren Treaty?
No, I bet you my roommate does.
So he did a song with them, and my favorite lyric on this whole thing is, hey driver, pull over. Yeah. I'm in a fight with God. Which is like the greatest thing, like, because I've felt that so many times, like,
yeah,
you know.
It's complexity, man. It's nuanced.
So that's one that I'll be listening to in 15 years. I mean, there's a few, The Smile. I think there's, and I also think that like you can't put that in a genre either. Like it falls under country, but it's not country.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like
it's just what it is.
Like music it's always been such an important part of us as a species, you know, that even though we try to categorize it, it's eventually just gonna be its own thing. Like the evolution of hip hop, for example, like it started this thing and then it went to that thing, and now it's like punk, and it's like there's just so many facets of it. Like music is forever evolving, and like even the same song or the same genre that you go back to and you listen to it at a different part of your life, that's gonna evolve too. It's gonna evolve within you. That's how our memories work. Like you go back and that you can change, your memories change because you know different things about yourself, or you know different things about this world. And I think music is the same way. It's like, it's not just a time capsule, but it's like a medicine that does different things to you every time you take it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So just wrapping up, like if there's a kid that's in like high school that is an artist, like what advice would you give them about staying true and authentic to themselves?
Don't wait, and let yourself play. Let yourself explore. You still don't know who you are yet. It's gonna change. Even when you do think you know who you are, that's gonna change. Like it's a fluid thing. Art is a fluid thing. Music is a fluid thing. Everything is. The worst thing you could do is put yourself in a box and let life make you feel so rigid. You just want to exist and just be in it and do the best that you can to continue to explore what that thing is to you, and just make sure that the people you're around are actually down for you. And that might change too. You never know. So it's hard to give advice because one thing might work for somebody and one thing might not work for another person. So just try to laugh a little bit. You know, that's why I always laugh. Like it is serious, but it's not that deep. It can't be that deep, but it's not that serious. You know. Shit's hard, man. Shit's hard. It's like existing is hard, but it doesn't have to be. It can be fun. It'd be a lot of fun.